Imagine finding an ordinary-looking 20-pence coin in an old box, drawer, collection, or even among coins that have been sitting untouched for decades, and then discovering that the date on it is 1983. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than a small piece of British pocket change, but this is exactly where the excitement begins. The 1983 United Kingdom 20-pence coin is an interesting piece from the early years of Britain's modern decimal coinage, and its age, design, condition, and possible special characteristics can make collectors pay much closer attention to it. But before you believe dramatic claims that every 1983 20p is worth millions of dollars or could instantly make someone a billionaire, there is an important truth you need to know. The normal 1983 British 20p is not a $1 million coin. More than 158 million regular examples were produced for circulation, making the ordinary issue relatively common rather than an extreme rarity. Current collector references place ordinary examples at values generally far below anything resembling a fortune. Coin hunter. The story of this coin becomes more interesting when we go back to the period in which it was created. Britain introduced the 20-pence denomination on June 9, 1982, during a major period of development in the country's decimal coinage system. The coin was deliberately designed with a distinctive seven-sided shape, technically an equilateral curved heptagon, helping people distinguish it from other denominations. Its physical specifications are also quite distinctive. The standard coin measures about 21.4 millimeters across, weighs approximately 5 grams, and is made from cupro nickel, an alloy consisting of copper and nickel. The obverse portrait used during the early 1980s was designed by Arnold Machine, while the reverse design was created by William Gardner, Royal Mint Museum. That means your 1983 coin is not simply an old piece of metal. It represents one of the earliest generations of Britain's modern 20p coinage, produced only a year after the denomination first entered circulation. Now comes the part that can completely change the way you look at an old coin. Condition. Two coins can carry exactly the same year and denomination, but have very different collector appeal. Think about a 1983 20p that has spent 40 years moving through pockets, vending machines, tills, and countless hands. Its surfaces may be scratched, its raised details may be worn down, and its original shine may have disappeared. Compare that with a coin that was carefully stored soon after it was struck, showing sharp details, clean surfaces, and little evidence of circulation. The second coin can be significantly more attractive to collectors. However, even an exceptionally clean ordinary 1983 20p should not automatically be described as a $1 million coin. Available price references currently show ordinary examples at modest values, with one catalog listing roughly $0.50 in MS62. This is where the phrase condition can change. Everything needs to be understood correctly. Coin collectors use grading systems to describe preservation, ranging from heavily circulated examples to extremely high-grade mint-state coins. A coin that has survived with remarkable surfaces and sharp details can attract more attention than a heavily worn example. Professional certification can also become important when a coin appears unusually well preserved, because an independent grading company can authenticate the piece and assign it a grade. For the 1983 20p, PCGS records the regular circulation issue with a mintage of 58,463,000 and lists examples in grades such as MS63, MS67, and MS68 PCGS. But remember the crucial distinction. A very high grade does not automatically transform a common coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity. Collectors consider rarity, demand, provenance, errors, varieties, condition, and actual market transactions together. There is another reason people sometimes become confused about the value of a 1983 20p. Not every coin bearing the date 1983 necessarily represents exactly the same collecting category. Besides the large regular circulation production, specialist references record separate, brilliant uncirculated and proof production associated with the year. Numista lists 3,700 examples in a BU category and 107,800 proof examples. with indicative values higher than ordinary circulated pieces, although still nowhere near millions of dollars. Numista. A proof coin is particularly interesting because it is produced with collector presentation in mind and normally has specially prepared surfaces and sharper visual characteristics than an ordinary circulation strike. So if someone discovers a 1983 20p that looks dramatically different from the coins they normally find in circulation, that difference deserves investigation rather than an immediate assumption that it is either worthless or a fortune. And then there is the possibility that makes collectors look twice at almost any old coin. An error or unusual striking characteristic. Coins are manufactured at enormous scale, and mistakes can occasionally occur during the production process. Depending on the nature and rarity of an error, collectors may be willing to pay substantially more than the normal value of the coin. A genuine dramatic mint error can be far more interesting than a normal example because it combines the original coin with an unusual manufacturing story. But this is also an area where people must be extremely careful. A scratch, dent, discoloration, bent edge, polishing mark, or damage caused after the coin left the mint is not automatically a valuable mint error. In fact, cleaning or altering an old coin can reduce its collector appeal. That is why an unusual-looking 1983 20p should be examined carefully before anyone starts talking about extraordinary prices. So, could a 1983 British 20p genuinely be worth millions of dollars? For the ordinary United Kingdom circulation coin, there is no reliable evidence supporting a claim that it is routinely worth millions, or that simply possessing the date 1983 can make someone a billionaire overnight. The published mintage itself is a major warning against that kind of claim. Around 158.5 million regular examples were produced. Coin Hunter. A coin made in such large numbers does not normally become a multi-million-dollar rarity merely because it is old. Extraordinary prices in numismatics generally belong to coins with exceptional rarity. Major documented errors, unique historical importance, extraordinary condition, or a proven auction history. Therefore, if you own a normal circulated 1983 20p, you should not expect a $1 million payday. But if your coin has an unusual appearance, remarkable preservation, a suspected mint error, or belongs to a special collector issue, that is when professional examination becomes worthwhile. There is also an important lesson hidden inside this little seven-sided coin. Collecting is not simply about finding an old date and searching for a gigantic number attached to it. Real numismatics is about learning what makes one object different from another. The year matters, but so does the exact design, the production type, the minting process, the condition, the authenticity, and the history of ownership. A collector looking at your 1983 20p would want to examine the portrait, lettering date, reverse design edge surfaces, strike quality, and any unusual characteristics before making a serious valuation. The Royal Mint describes the early 20p as a gram cupro-nickel coin with a 21.4 millimeter diameter and plain edge, so these basic characteristics provide a useful starting point when identifying what you actually have. Royal Mint Museum. The more precisely a coin can be identified, the less likely you are to fall for exaggerated claims about its value. If you have a 1983 United Kingdom 20 pence coin sitting in your collection right now, the smartest thing you can do is resist the temptation to clean it, polish it, scratch it, or immediately sell it because someone has claimed that it is worth millions. Handle it carefully by the edges and compare its characteristics with established references. If it appears to be an ordinary circulated example, its value is likely to be modest. If it looks almost untouched, appears to be a proof or special issue, or seems to contain a genuine minting anomaly, then professional identification and grading may be worth considering. The key is evidence. A spectacular story can attract attention, But a documented rarity is what creates serious collector value. And that is the real mystery of the 1983 20p. Not that every example is secretly a fortune, but that an apparently ordinary coin can teach you how dramatically rarity, condition, authenticity, and collector demand can change the value of something that once seemed almost worthless. So before spending or selling your old 1983 20p, take a second look, but let facts, not sensational headlines, determine what you actually have. And now we come to the most important question. If you have a 1983 United Kingdom 20 pence coin, should you keep it or spend it? The answer is simple. Take a closer look before you make any decision. The regular 1983 20p was produced in a large quantity of about 158.46 million coins, so the date alone does not make it a $1 million rarity, Royal Mint. But that does not mean every example is identical. Some coins were produced for collector sets, including brilliant uncirculated and proof versions, and these can have greater collector interest than ordinary coins found in circulation. Numista. What you should really search for is something unusual. Examine the coin carefully under good light. Look at the date, the Queen's portrait, the Tudor rose, the lettering, the edge, and the overall quality of the strike. If the coin has an unusual feature that appears to have happened during minting rather than through later damage, it may deserve professional attention. Do not clean or polish the coin, because changing its original surface can actually hurt its collector appeal. The 1983 20p is also historically interesting because it belongs to the earliest generation of British 20 pence coin. The denomination was first issued in June 1982, and its seven-sided shape was specifically designed to make the coin easy to identify and distinguish from other denominations. It weighs 5 grams, measures 21.4 millimeters, and is made from cupronickel, Royal Mint Museum. So remember this before you believe any unbelievable price claim. A normal 1983 20p is not automatically worth millions of dollars, and simply finding one will not make you a billionaire overnight. The real treasure would be a genuinely rare variety, an authenticated mint error, or an exceptionally preserved example with strong collector demand. If your coin appears unusual, have it examined rather than selling it because of a random online claim. And that is the real message behind this fascinating old British coin. Sometimes a coin that looks completely ordinary can make you stop and ask questions about its history, production, condition, and rarity. So if you have a 1983 20 pence coin, don't immediately throw it into your spending money. Hold it, examine it, protect it, and find out exactly what you have. Because in coin collecting, the difference between an ordinary coin and a truly special one can sometimes be hidden in the smallest detail.